You know, when we think about an AI writing, we usually imagine a typist, right? Just hammering out one word after another, locked in. But what if it was less like a typist and more like a sketch artist? Someone who roughs out the whole picture first and then goes back to refine and perfect it. Well, that's the wild idea behind LLaDA 2.1, a model that's pretty much tearing up the rulebook on how AI can generate language.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to quickly break down how language models usually think. Then we'll dive into LLaDA's totally different sketching approach and its incredible ability to fix its own mistakes. After that, we'll look at its two different modes, put its performance on the clock, and finally get into the big question. Why does this all matter?
So to really get why LLaDA is such a big deal, we first have to understand the way things have been done up until now, the world of the AI typist.
Okay, check this out. On the left, you've got the typist. This is how most AIs work. It's sequential, it's one way, and once a word is down, it's down for good. But on the right, you have the sketch artist. This is a whole different ballgame. It's about getting a messy first draft of the entire idea out there, knowing you can go back, erase, and fix things. And that, right there, is the LLaDA approach.
Yeah, this typist method is what's called autoregressive generation. It's a fancy way of saying it just predicts the very next word based on all the words that came before it. The problem is, once it types the word cat, it's stuck. It can't go back and change it to dog, even if the rest of the sentence makes more sense that way. It's a one-way street, and that can make really complex thinking and reasoning super tricky.
So, if the old way is a one-way street, how does LLaDA manage to do a U-turn? Well, it throws the whole process out the window. It's all about sketching, not typing.
The engine behind this is something called a diffusion language model. Instead of going word by word, it generates a whole chunk of text all at once. It starts with this noisy, blurry bunch of placeholder tokens. That's the messy pencil sketch. And then, step by step, it refines it, or denoises it, until it becomes a sharp, clear sentence.
So, the whole process is kind of like a three-step dance. First, it drafts a whole block of text in parallel, just getting the rough idea down. Second, it starts refining that draft, turning those placeholders into actual words. And third, and this is the absolute game changer, it actively goes back and corrects its own mistakes while it works.
And really, it's this self-correction that makes LLaDA 2.1 so special. I mean, generating text fast is one thing, but generating it smartly, that's a whole new level. Let me give you a perfect example. Let's say the AI is writing a sentence, and it generates the word walks. But as it keeps writing, it figures out that, you know what, the word steps would actually make way more sense in this context. A normal model, it's stuck with walks. But here's where LLaDA's superpower kicks in. It catches that mistake right in the middle of thinking. It sees that walks just doesn't quite fit with the sentence it's building, and it flags it as an error. And then, instead of just moving on, it actually goes back, swaps out walks for steps, and then just keeps writing like nothing happened. It's like having a little editor living inside the writer's brain, making fixes on the fly. This ability to edit retroactively is just a massive, massive leap forward.
Now, this whole powerful process isn't just a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. The developers behind LLaDA 2.1 were really smart about this, and they actually gave users a choice between two different ways of operating.
So you have speed mode and quality mode. The best way to think about this editing threshold is like a perfectionism setting. In speed mode, you set it to 0. You're basically telling the model, don't sweat the details, just go, and you get lightning-fast results. But on the other side, you have quality mode. Here, you crank that threshold up, telling the model, hey, be a perfectionist, take a second, review your work, make those corrections. And the result is much higher quality, more coherent text.
Okay, so we've got a fast mode and a high-quality mode. That's cool. But the real question is, how does this thing actually perform when the rubber meets the road? Let's take a look at the numbers.
So, on a really tough reasoning benchmark, LLaDA's quality mode pulls in a score of 80.58. That's right on the heels of a leading model that's at 83.70. What this tells us is that this radical new approach can absolutely deliver competitive, high-quality results on difficult tasks. But that's only half the story.
And here's the other half. When you flip it into speed mode, LLaDA 2.1 is up to 5.34 times faster. So you're getting that comparable quality with this just massive speed boost. It's pretty much the best of both worlds. You get top-tier reasoning when you need it, and incredible speed when that's what matters most. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. A model that can draft, refine, and self-correct all on the fly? This is more than just a cool new feature. It really does point toward a whole new future for how AI generates language.
And the team behind this, they're just getting warmed up. They're already planning to give it agent-like abilities to use tools and even an extreme editing feature for even more complex reasoning. They're even looking at totally new ways to train these models from the ground up. The road ahead looks absolutely incredible.
So we're left with this really fascinating final thought. We've just seen an AI that's less of a typist and more of a thinker, one that drafts, reflects, and actually self-corrects. So if an AI can now fix its own flawed logic as it writes, what kind of really complex, real-world problems can it start to solve next? The possibilities, well, they're just beginning to unfold.